What is up, lads? Man, feels like we actually have some stuff to talk about today.
Yo.
Did everyone go long with the biggest KOL in the world told you to buy yesterday? Mr. Donald Trump?
Oh, what'd he tell buy? What'd he tell me? Buy everything? What did they say? I don't know.
He literally said, he said, I think it was at like 9 a.m. Pacific time. He said, right now is a good time to buy. And then 2 hours later, he put the 90-day tariff pause. Literally the biggest KOL in the world, man. $7 trillion. $7 trillion swing.
But don't trust who was it? Eric when he told us to buy ETH. So we trust Trump, but don't trust Eric. I don't know. I trust
honestly, the two biggest KOLs, whenever they tell you to buy, generally Trump and CZ. Whenever they say to buy, generally it's like 90% of the time it's time to buy. What's good, Chris?
What's good? The panic baiting, the doom posting was incredible. I mean, we talked about it on the show every day for the last week. Every title of our show was like Max Payne this, Max Payne that. I mean, it was just a frenzy, a media frenzy, all on assault on any bulls in the world. But once again, we walk away victorious, baby. Let's get it.
Dude, best to ever do it, Mr. Donald Trump, man. What a strategy, honestly. I mean, regardless of what you like, if you like the guy or not, this geopolitical, I guess you would say the position that now he's put China in is kind of wild. He now has basically grouped the entire world against China. I saw today that Amazon said that their prices are going to increase. And actually commented, said, I suspect now over the rest of the year until that's fixed, everyone's going to start shopping at their local grocery store, their local department store. People are going to be able to touch grass because it's going to be much cheaper to shop locally until the tariff situation is figured out, which maybe is good from a mental health standpoint from everybody else, and maybe from a communal point of view.
So are they what's that? The 105% tariff, is that like that's happened already?
It's 143% now as of this morning.
Does it go up by 1% every day?
Like every hour, it's 1%. There's obviously a lot of diminishing returns where it's probably like, at some point, the people who are going to pay it will pay it, and then the majority of people will not.
Yep.
Man, got to say, as we said this yesterday on the show, Scott Bessent, man, that guy is the figure. He's literally the one who's been saying everything the whole time. He's been going through this like geopolitical thing or turmoil. Whatever he says is generally seems to be what's actually happening there. And apparently he was the voice of reason for Trump, as I was reading, man. The guy who broke the Bank of England, trying to break the PBOC.
I just the one tweet that I saw that resonated with me though was like the strategy. Who knows? It could be a good strategy. It probably is. I have no idea. But the tweet that caught my eye that resonated with me is that the Chinese will put up with a lot more pain than Americans will. And what that meant to me is just like the Chinese people. It's like I don't get the feeling like Americans. We saw like this last week. One drop in the stock market, and Americans were completely unwilling to put up with that pain. Good, like completely, like ready to rip everybody's heads off.
Was that Americans though, or was that just the media?
Just the media. It's possible. I mean, like I know you and I are willing to put up with it because we want a fiscally responsible government.
We're also in crypto where we're 20% losses every day.
China had massive like civil unrest for the past couple of years anyways. They've had a ton of civil unrest. So I mean, they're not willing to put up with everything. They're only willing to put up with some things.
And it's interesting too. Like you might be right. Like, and G is not willing to have, like he recognizes that if they get a bad economy, like they're all gone, right?
I think they're already in it. I think they're already in a recession,
right? And so he's actually maybe even more. Yeah, I don't know, man. It is funny how these things work. To think that I could figure it out or any one person could. It's kind of this like blob effect.
Yeah, it's tough. And like I always get pinned as like this Trump fanatic or this Trump kind of, cheerleader. But I mean, the guy has a really difficult job. Not only does he have to negotiate with adversaries, he has to convince his own people that he like to give him any type of slack. Like half of the country all of a sudden seems like they were rooting China on for whatever reason, just because Trump had some policy implementations. As far as like Amazon though, Amazon doesn't even set their prices. It's a marketplace. So right. If we have cheaper goods locally, Amazon will still have the same cheap goods locally because they source them all over the world. So I don't really understand why Amazon would say that they're raising their prices. They're not even a department store or really a manufacturer or a retailer. They're more of just
well, they said expect higher prices. I guess maybe it's people who are drop shipping or getting their product shipped from China.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with that. It seems like there's just so much like rage bait, and I talked about that probably last week. Talked about that on Chain Revolution, where just like the media puts up such a frenzy for anything that Trump says that they never price in any upside. And then what do you have exactly? No one priced in any upside. You had one of the biggest days in S&P history 2 days ago.
I'll give you guys a little context, like globally, like here in Costa Rica, like my wife, people were like, oh my God, can you believe what Trump did with the tariffs and with this and that? And my wife is like, bro, do you know what goes on here in Costa Rica? Like for me to import anything into Costa Rica, I'm like immediate 50% tax on like everything. Like it's a complete pain in the ass
100%.
To like pull anything, like to import anything into Costa Rica. Like to think that the rest of the world isn't doing this exact same thing. Like they are.
And what people don't realize is that you can't just put tariffs on China because then they'll just route through Vietnam or they'll route through Cambodia or they'll route through Indonesia or a different Southeast Asian country just to avoid the tariffs. So you kind of have to have a blanket tariff just to avoid the kind of shipment arbitrage. So, I mean, I can't say that the plan worked 100%, but it's really difficult to have everyone try and guess your playbook and still have a successful play, and he manages to kind of come out on top regardless of whatever the situation is. Like, was this a major win? Was it a backtrack? Maybe somewhere in the middle, right? Did he kind of get something that he wanted and maybe he didn't get everything that he wanted? some kind of compromise. It feels like that's probably kind of correct. But does it seem like America got a win here? Pretty like universally. It kind of feels like America kind of got a win here. So pretty happy with the policy.
The market and the sentiment is definitely showing it. Kind of wild. Trump with that one tweet added $7 trillion to the market cap of the stock market. So literally like 4 or 3 crypto total crypto market caps in one single tweet. It's crazy. Stock market's acting kind of like crypto now, at least from the trading perspective.
These pundits, they are mad every single day. I know that that's their job to be mad, but one day they're upset because the stock market's going down. Next day they're insanely upset that the stock market's going up too fast. Like, what do these people want? It's got to be a tiresome job, like just to be upset every morning, no matter what the headline is. So
totally, man.
Dude, even some of the traditional financial companies, I saw a post where Goldman Sachs, within 2 hours, 2 different reports came in, one about a recession, and then the next one 2 hours later about how there's no recession anymore. Like literally, it is.
I mean, basing the health of your economy on a stock market is retarded, and it's always been retarded. But that's what we are right now. We're literally like consumption culture, 5 minutes or it doesn't exist. I mean, it's just we've lost our minds, no doubt about it.
And I mean, the stock market was down 15% from all-time highs. That's like a random Wednesday in crypto, 15% for no reason at all. Yep. Not saying that's good or bad, but the outrage was just like totally manufactured. It was so insane. 15% from all time. Get out of here. Take a lap. Take a lap. People relax. Crazy business. But we're back, baby. We're back.
We are, dude. A lot of headlines this morning. I think TGEs are probably going to pop off in the next, maybe 30 to 60 days with a lot of interest. One major headline that came out of yesterday, this actually caught me by surprise, but awesome to see. Magic Eden acquired Slingshot. The
banger.
Banger. It is comparable to Moonshot. If you've ever used Moonshot, it's an on and off ramp for USD and USDC. They're a chain abstracted marketplace. So essentially the idea is like purchase any fungible token with USDC. And then you can also, I believe, cash it into USD. And on the other side, I believe you can purchase tokens with Apple Pay and some of the other kind of financial applications that exist within the Apple and Google stores on your smartphone. Adam, what was your first take when you saw this? Magic Eden was obviously hyping it up for a while. Yep. The founder had been advocating literally for 6 months that they were going to have the ability to buy any asset with any token. Obviously, I thought it was going to be some sort of like, on-chain solution, but apparently he was just hyping up this purchase. What's first thoughts that come to mind of this acquisition?
My first thought is Magic Eden has good leadership, is willing to pivot and move quickly. And I think this was kind of speaks to that. I think, Jack gets the whole kind of cross-chain, multi-chain world thesis. And, he gets it. And whether or not they're able to pull it off and really create a robust like ecosystem around it. I've had a bunch of discussions over the last day about their burn rate and how many people they have working there. And, it might not, they may go bankrupt before it happens. But that said, I think his direction is right. It makes sense. We've been talking about this for years now, about how this should have been OpenSea's strategy. 2 years ago when Ordinals popped off, they should have pivoted hard and gone heavy into this. They didn't. They're going to get left in the dust. Magic Eden, is smart. Whether or not they succeed at this, right? Could be too early. Don't really know. But I think directionally, it's completely on point.
The runes market, all the coins are up 50%. Dog is, I think, back to 150 million. The Slingshot Twitter account today tweeted that runes integration was coming. My kind of guess here is that you're going to be able to purchase runes with USDC, maybe with ETH or Solana, some of that nature. Chris, you were obviously a day one Magic Eden fan, using it to buy Soul NFTs last cycle. So you've been here kind of since the beginning. Overall take on Magic Eden acquiring another company, and also just all the M&A that we've seen over the last month or so?
So first off, the M&A that we're seeing in crypto is unparalleled to anything else we've ever seen. There's clearly a lot of institutional money that's kind of looking to get into space, and it seems like it's a frenzy to kind of get these acquisitions on. This one specifically, I feel like they got a good deal. I don't know what they could have paid for Slingshot, but it's got to be in like the mid single digit millions, I think. I don't know. It seems like a licensing play. All three of these kind of iPhone, like App Store based exchange kind of proxies all popped up at the same time. Slingshot, Moonshot. I think that there's a few other ones. So I don't know what in the terms of service changed that you could get these in the App Store, but something clearly changed and a bunch of them kind of got through. So I think it was more of a licensing play than anything. I mean, I don't think that Slingshot is anything that Magic Eden couldn't build internally. It seems like it was more of the regulatory that they would have trouble getting through. So, I mean, great pickup. I haven't checked their volumes in a while on Slingshot, but last time I looked, it was like $40,000 a day or something.
Not great, right? Not great.
So, I'm not saying that 1 + 1 can equal 3 here, but I'm saying that I think that they probably got a pretty good deal on it. And I mean, you got to be happy with the acquisition. It'd be something that I would be looking to buy if we're in a position like that. They have decent branding, good customer base, and a lot of versatility with the App Store. But I just think that this is what you see when institutions come in. Institutions come in, they look for acqui-hires, they look for mergers. So they throw bids out, and then your crypto natives kind of have to fight for them. So there's clearly some sort of institutional bid across the board on some of these attractive apps. Good to see Magic Eden land one. Adam said that they have good leadership. I think that that's kind of true. It's kind of a mess over there. They're in a million different directions. I think that they should really play to their strengths. We thought that they were going to play on the Bitcoin ecosystem for a while, and then I think Magic Internet Money launched, and then they didn't even tweet about it one time. If a big project migrates to a protocol that you're trying to kind of blossom, you should probably talk about it. Otherwise, why would anyone else want to migrate to that ecosystem? So it seems like it kind of fell on deaf ears, but would like to see them make a recovery, but their burn rate has got to be insane.
It's insane. I've heard,
yeah, Adam, you were on a show. You were on the Magic Eden show like a few days ago. What was the conversations like that you had with them? I think it was like a day or two before they announced. Or made this announcement.
With one of their lead kind of marketers, and she hinted to this, and I guess she's actually been working with Slingshot in stealth for like a year.
She did tweet that, yeah.
So obviously it's been in the works, and to Chris's point, this may have been a really, really low entry price, more of like an acqui-hire kind of thing. That would make sense. I've heard some really negative stuff about the tech, like it's not even great tech, it's like kind of junky tech. I don't know if that's true or not. But managing a team of, I guess it's near 100 people now at scale gets really, really difficult. You get super bloated, and that's why I said maybe they do bump up against like, shit, are they going to run out of money? And this might be just thinking it through from a founder's perspective. This just may be, look, we need to acquire some stuff to make it seem like we're moving and growing in the right direction, so that I can raise some more capital. Like that may be happening for them. I don't know, but I do like the way Jack, just following on the timeline and stuff, he seemed to get the kind of general vision that we get. So I obviously like that. But yeah, I don't know. From a business perspective, if this is good or bad, I mean, look, they're in a tough business. NFT marketplaces is brutal. And whether or not they can actually survive, who knows, man.
I did see a tweet this morning. I'm trying to look for it, but apparently there is a VC, or one of the main backers of Slingshot was also a VC in Magic Eden. So it could have been one of these acqui-hires similar to what Yuga Labs did, where when they acquired Moonbirds, they actually acquired the treasury along with it because it was the same backers as well. So you could be like an all stock kind of thing. We don't really know. They didn't announce what the amount was, but very, exciting to see. Over the last 4 or 5 months or so, we're starting to see different areas of the industry acquire certain types of things that they're coming after. So the more on-chain kind of companies are acquiring these fiat on and off ramps, right? Like aggregators and marketplaces are going after um, different types of items to get into the US dollar. You had Ripple the other day buying a prime broker, right? To kind of be more on the banker side. We have crypto exchanges like Kraken bought a futures platform pretty recently. And then you have TradFi, right? Like Stripe that came in and is buying stablecoin infrastructure. So I think you're really starting to see a lot of the main players come in and figure out what they need to build kind of a full suite product. I think it's quite incredible.
And then we saw today, I mean, just to get on this point of like, well, just got me thinking about the like KYC requirements. You posted earlier today, you know, this new gaming site launched called yeet.com. And I got on there. I was like, oh, let me just get on and see what's up. And I signed up. You can sign up with your email. Cool. Go to actually just like click a game. Immediately KYC, man. KYC comes up. And then you'd said if you're in the US, you can't even sign up. Right.
Yeah, watch. I'll try to go to it right now. I have it pulled up on the live stream. See, unfortunately, you're not available in your location. This is with a VPN that's off.
Yep.
I'm in the US. Yeet is we've seen actually a few different companies come out and kind of really crypto natives try to build a crypto casino. I think these guys specifically, it's Keyboard Monkey, OSF is on it, and I believe a few other guys who are kind of the degen traders. You know, they do leverage trade, they do all the different on-chain shenanigans to participate. They're both pretty successful. I forget who the other founders are. They're trying to compete essentially with like Rollbit and stake.com and a few of these other ones with a more on-chain product. What do people like to do in the industry? They love to gamble, right? That's definitely not going away. Yeah. It's all packaged in different types of ways, right? Whether you're yield farming, whether you're trading spot or doing derivatives or farming tokens, it's all kind of a different type of game that satisfies different types of people, right? For NFTs and etc. I'm interested to see how this goes. Maybe one day we'll be able to play this in the US as regulations become are diminished, right? And they register onshore. But we'll see. I actually on side note, I got lunch with a friend out here in Vegas who works for a top traditional gaming company. And we actually had lunch because she was saying that a crypto company actually acquired them. And this is like a multi-billion-dollar company. And she was asking for information on, you know, what's legal, what's not. And it was also one of these kind of social gaming, they call it, where it's like you can have people under 18 playing and you get these like reward tokens instead of dollars. And then the reward tokens, you cash in for prizes. It's like kind of a roundabout way of having younger people essentially gamble.
Yeah.
And she was just asking a bunch of questions because they also, I guess on a larger scale, they're looking into building something like this, like Yeet or Rollbit. And so you're getting these kind of offshore companies coming onshore now to try to be the first one through the door whenever those regulations do come. And I think Yeet is probably trying to play that as well under the Trump administration.
Very cool.
Go ahead. It's
Yeah,
exciting. Chris,
it's cool. Yeah.
Chris, you know, you studied gaming in college here at UNLV in Vegas. What's your take on Yeet being created by, you know, some very popular crypto natives, as well as just the overall, I guess you call it the crypto casino, onshore, offshore products between legacy and crypto?
Yeah, I grew up around the gaming industry my whole life. Studied it in college. It's one of the hardest regulatory industries to break through into. $7 million probably doesn't even get you a license in like a tier 1 jurisdiction. It's like the hardest to break through out of everything. Even, you know, people like Wynn Resorts, they've been trying to get their online gaming products up to speed in America for 10 plus years. They had WinBet. They have all, you know, everyone's trying to get online gaming. The licensing is so difficult, and $7 million. I mean, I'm wishing them the best, obviously. But one of my 2024 end of year predictions was that regulators would cramp down on these crypto casinos. I mean, these are wrought with money laundering, fraud, all types of nefarious activity. And it didn't seem to happen, but I do foresee that happening at some point. So to have like a obviously the KYC was a big deal. You can see that with this product. That's something that's not really been seen before in crypto, where they just completely disable all VPN access. So I mean, they're attempting to go in the right direction. I just don't know if it'll be enough, because the legacy gaming companies are so big and so powerful, and their moat is so strong that even they don't like to disrupt themselves, right? They don't want to disrupt themselves with their online business. They don't want to disrupt the traditional in-person gaming business with their online business. So they've almost regulatory captured themselves out of online gaming. There's no way they're going to let a new player with $7 million that, you know, makes it pretty big in the industry. I think, I don't know, I would assume some major settlements from something like Rollbit and some of these other big online crypto casinos. And I don't know if it's the all-out gaming aspect of it. I mean, proving fair games without manipulation, without any type of insider information and shit like that is extremely difficult. It has insane regulatory scrutiny that changes by every single jurisdiction. And so, I mean, most of these countries around the world don't even have in-person gaming. There's no way that they're going to allow online gaming. It is just such a slow-moving legacy industry. Sure, you can try and move fast and break things, but you're going to end up in a lot of lawsuits. It's going to cost you the business. So I think a tough road ahead for them, but I am wishing them the best.
Chris and I actually had a business before Emblem called Native Research out here in Las Vegas, and it was surrounding kind of consultation with gaming regulators and politicians and casinos on crypto. And we actually became friends with a few of the gaming control board members. Actually, the head guy, there's 3 of the 8 had showed up to one of our meetups that was sponsored by essentially UNLV and kind of like the entrepreneur branch. And we were sitting there talking with them about crypto. Granted, this is in 2021, 2022. And they basically told us straightforward. They were like, it's like you'll never see Bitcoin on like a craps table. And one of the reasons simply is this idea of source of funds, or proof of funds, where they go back a certain amount of transactions to see where it's from. And obviously all Bitcoin, at least the large majority of it, will go to some sort of malicious activity, whether it's the dark market or a Mt. Gox hack, right? Stolen money, North Korea, etc. So we were working with one of the other groups that used to come to our meetup had another kind of legal consultation to try to figure out how far back you could go to prove source of funds, and they couldn't come to an agreement with anything. And more so, the Gaming Control Board of Nevada, which is the most powerful in the world, they were much more open to NFTs actually than they were to cryptocurrencies. Like, they were really open to it. And in Vegas now, we're actually seeing NFTs pop up in some of the casinos being used as membership type reward programs. But it's a slow moving thing, man. When I was working with Circa and kind of just giving them advice on their Vegas Vicky NFT project, at the end of it, this is in 2022, right before I joined Emblem, they had said that they only saw crypto as a marketing expense and they didn't see it as a profitable business endeavor. So a lot of red tape out there. I mean, but insane opportunity when it happens.
I think that this is actually where the insane opportunity happens. If you think about, and people are going to get butchered trying to go after that opportunity, but if you think about, I mean, taxis are the simple one to think about, because we've seen basically the taxi infrastructure, which, take New York City, for example, you know, you had to have a taxi medallion because it was a controlled, complete monopoly. You know, these medallions were going for $1 million, just retarded shit based on basically government control over an industry. And that's exactly what we have in gaming. And maybe the most controlled of like any industry, right? It's like crazy controlled. And therefore at the same time, because it's literally global, or can be global through the internet, honestly, they're at the most risk. Like, obviously in-person gaming is not at risk, but online gaming, like, they see it. And so I wouldn't say that, we might not see one of these guys, acquire an online gaming platform that kind of takes off in another jurisdiction, right? That's set up in the Caymans or wherever, and just to kind of front run it. And then we just get a flip flop. Just change happens quickly. I mean, it's possible, and these guys are obviously going after it. Because I think if there is a winner, that winner will win just massively, be just an incredible win. But if not, you're going to get slaughtered like completely.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably rather build a dark market Silk Road type of business before I would try and build like
no, dude, the gaming is like, bro, you're going against the mob, you're going against like the worst of the, it is like,
the biggest players in China and the biggest players in the United
bro.
States, the two wealthiest kind of countries in the world. It's a difficult road ahead.
Easier to go after the cocaine market, bro.
Yeah, something like that, to be honest. So wish them the best of luck, but a lot of people don't realize the amount of goodwill you have to get to put forward to the local jurisdictions before you build a casino. You have to invest enough money in infrastructure, rehabilitation programs, all beforehand. You have to compete with other people that are trying to get the licenses as well. So it's like millions and millions and millions of dollars just to get in front of the local regulators to propose to build $1 billion resort. So, I mean, $7.5 million in the gaming industry, it's literally not much. But like I said, wishing them the best, and any progress is better than no progress, I guess.
I was just bummed out because I saw like they had like a Plinko game. I was like, oh man, I want to try the Plinko game. And nope, KYC. You're fine. Right. Not for you. Not for you, you American.
Yeah, I just to piggyback off of Chris, I was gonna say the same thing. The ground game is the most important. The networking, like we'd been building and hosting meetups for a year before the gaming control were even considered coming out. And this is like networking with literal politicians in the city and people who are operating gaming companies and UNLV and such. And even having those conversations, people were amazed. They're like, I can't believe 3 gaming controller members showed up here. They're like, this is like unprecedented that could ever happen.
Yeah. And even just for all operators within big gaming establishments, you have to have what's called like key licensures. So all of your executives have to go through intense background scrutiny. My dad had to have like all the computers in the house searched, everything like that. These kind of investigations go on for over a year. They track everything that you're talking about on all your family cell phones, everything. So full top to bottom investigations on basically any key employee in your organization. It's a nightmare. So if anyone has any kind of checkered past by any means, I'm not sure about any of those specific guys, but they're not qualified probably to receive licensure for any type of tier 1 gaming establishment.
Oh man, they're gonna go into the group chat and be like, "What the fuck is this?"
They're gonna see some history from some of the old group chats that they've probably been in and be like, "What in the world are you guys thinking over here?" So,
oh man,
crypto candidates are not the best qualifiers for casino licensees, I think.
Oh boy, we'll see it, man. So, in other news from today, the Wayfinder TGE for Prompt, the token, the claim is live. This was probably the most hyped TG I've seen in maybe the last few months or so. Pretty good timing for it to happen right after kind of Trump says that there's a pause on kind of the tariff situation. The FDV of this, from what I've been reading, is going to be 500 million. That's what I guess what's quoted on OKX. I haven't looked into it too far. First, we'll talk about the product. The product looks pretty promising, right? It's in the same DeFi AI sector that we're building Agent Hustle. They're backed, VC backed, quite large. Prime or Parallel, the parent company, raised a ton of money in 2021 for Prime. I'm sure they probably did the same situation here for Wayfinder. The beta testing posts seem to look pretty promising of all the type of stuff, right? It's basically just an AI LLM terminal where you can do swaps and bridging and deploy contracts and do some other fun stuff. So I'm actually excited to test it out when it is public here. In terms of the actual TGE itself, I have seen quite a lot of issues on the timeline. First and foremost, Pop Punk on chain had warned everyone yesterday that the Kaido smart contract for the Yapper claims had a bunch of issues. Turns out that anyone who claimed through the Kaido Yappers had all of their prompts swiped. And this one person apparently stole about 200 ETH worth of prompt and was able to sell it. I guess there's a company called Token Table, who I suppose what is the development team behind the social claim. They said the claim process, this was at 8:05 a.m., so an hour ago. They said the claim process is currently paused while we conduct a full investigation. All users impacted by failed transactions or claims taken by MEV will be fully compensated. All allocated prompt will be received as intended. Failed gas fees will also be refunded. The incident does not affect the other Wayfinder airdrop. So this is probably isolated to, I think, 1% or maybe 2% of the total supply. Smart contract remains unaffected until they figure out what is going on and they post a post-mortem. Some other further information. A lot of people are upset about the actual farming of it. Apparently, from the Kaido side of things, it was only for the emerging yappers, but I don't think they actually ever said what an emerging yapper is. So an emerging yapper apparently is under 1,100 smart followers. And all of the big accounts are pretty much outraged because that, I guess, was never clarified. So a bunch of people put a bunch of their social capital up talking about Wayfinder to turn out they didn't receive a single thing. It seems like there was a prioritization of yappers over prompts. I saw an account, somebody said they bought 50,000 of Prime to stake. Cashing and stake's the same thing, just a different word. So they basically staked 50,000 USD in value of Prime, and they got $200 in prompt.
Yeah, and he staked it for like a year or something like that too.
And
like he'd been forever, dude.
Apparently, you could cash for up to 4 years, and it seems like people who were yapping got a lot more than people who were staking for over 4 years. Some people that participated did not get an allo. They said in the last but definitely not least, the MEV frontrunner swapping all the prompt for ETH. Some of the KOLs or just like, large personalities said this is probably one of the worst airdrops that we have experienced in a while. I have to give props to Adam. He definitely called this for a week or for a few weeks, saying that this was going to be a mess. And again, this is outside of the product itself. This is just surrounding kind of the token airdrop and the situation and everything running. Adam, I have to present it to you first, man, for somebody who said that the token part was likely going to head into disaster. What do you think about it now, looking at it?
I still think these guys pulled off kind of a coup. I really do. And we've talked about this a lot. It's like, are we going to ever get to real product in crypto? Like, this feels like this is a completely manipulated. And I'm giving him credit here, actually. Like, this is a team that the product is a distant second or third to the airdrop. Like the token itself is the whole thing. And I understand they got investors and they've raised whatever, $60 million or $100 million, and they have to basically give ROI to those investors. And so what they've done here, in my view, is create a tremendous amount of activity around this TGE, where they're giving away this tiny little fraction of the total amount. And they're already on every exchange. I saw the Binance tweets are already out there. And this is a liquidity event for them and their investors. And it is what it is. Like, I understand that's the way this stuff works. But I'm actually, it is what it is. And I, all the guys who were, tweeting the other day, friends of ours and stuff who were making big, long posts about it, who got rugged because they had whatever, they have 100,000 followers and they're big on yaps and they got nothing. It's kind of funny and sad and whatever. But at the end of the day, look, I mean, for the team itself and for all those investors, like, this is kind of the game. But it's just like, what are we doing here, man? Are we just trying to create Ponzi-nomics so that people can get some exit liquidity and it's listed on Binance and the initial investors can start cashing out and fake trading this for the next 2 years to keep that bullshit, fake price of $600 million so they can just take out, chunks for the next 2 years? Or are we about like, what's their product going to be? Is their product going to be any fucking good? Let's see what their product is. And I'm excited to see this product, man. Because when they start talking about it's going to be you're going to be able to do smart contracts and you're going to be able to do this and launch NFTs. Let's see, bro. I am ready to fucking see this product, man. I'm excited. So,
I did see somebody post about how you can order from Amazon or you can order delivery. You can order delivery with crypto or something. And I saw T.O. actually comment on it and said, is this true? And then I think it was the Easy's post. And then he was like, yeah. And he's like, so you're telling me I can buy, I think it was like Uber Eats with crypto through this thing and have it delivered? And he was like, yeah. And he's like, I don't think so.
No, it's all fucking, I'm just telling, I mean, this was my view. It's screenshots of like hopes and dreams, man. It's like hopes and dreams. And I saw people on the timeline today, like, bro, you can't vibe code smart contracts. Sorry, dude. Like you're going to get run into badass shit. And so that's why there's been so much promised here that they're going to underdeliver. It's impossible for them to overdeliver here because they've literally promised, an AI agent that may be possible, but like 5 years down the road, like there's no way it's possible today. Impossible. And so that's going to vastly disappoint, I'm sure. And this TGE is what it is. It's just like it's an extraction event for the team. It is what it is.
Facts.
It does seem that this idea of the token becoming the product or the actual platform becoming the product tends to get lost when the TGE is so overhyped because everyone's just focused on the price. You don't really see too many companies come back from it. It is possible, but sometimes it takes years because now you have so many people who are upset because they wasted their social capital tweeting, or they spent money and didn't receive what the expectation was. So now they're going to go use competitors, right? Maybe they come to Agent Hustle or Griffin or whatever, or they just don't participate in AI at all because they're just completely scorned by it.
I mean, imagine, dude, they've all this tweeting, like literally hundreds of thousands of tweets.
Dude, for weeks,
dominating the timeline. And nobody who was tweeting about it was actually using the product. How fucked up is that? It's totally fucked up. It's all just a dream that people were tweeting about to earn money. Fuck that. Like, if that what we're going to do here, fuck that shit, dude. Fuck it. No way.
Chris, what's your take here on the fallout of the TGE versus the product, or kind of, the focus and imbalance between it?
I want to thank the Wayfinder team for kind of shining a light on the DeFi AI space. Some of it maybe wasn't so organic. Maybe there were some paid shows in there. They seemed a little sus, but at the end of the day, it did bring a lot of eyes to what's possible with DeFi AI and how, whether all of it was organic or not, there was a lot of people that were taken back by being able to speak natural language to crypto transactions. And I think that that's like the killer use case of where DeFi AI is right now. Agent Hustle is a great demonstration of this. Anyone that uses the product is like, holy shit, this is like obvious that this is where the industry is going. So in my opinion, more players in the space, the better. It's so early to even call anyone competitors when everything should be more of collaboration. We can kind of criticize however they went about their TGE. We haven't seen a successful TGE since like the Uniswap TGE, the first airdrop ever. Like that's the only one that people were across the board happy because no one was expecting PS5. I think it was PS3s back then, huh? Airdropped it into their MetaMask. But I mean, I want to see the product. I want to get it. I want to use it thoroughly. But at the end of the day, just more exposure for the DeFi AI industry is a win for us. Doesn't really matter to me what their token does. Never expected it to so well. It's always the most capitalized teams that feel the need to raise more capital, right? How much money did Prime raise during the NFT bull cycle? And then now all of a sudden they need millions and millions and millions more to deliver no product. So at the end of the day, win for the DeFi AI space, probably a indirect win for Agent Hustle for just getting more momentum in the space and people realizing that there is actually people or projects that are able to do these things today that something like Wayfinder is promising to do someday. So all in all, kind of happy with it.
Yeah, me too. Sucks to see what happened. I hope people make some money. I am excited to test out the platform to see. Nothing again for everything that was raised. It's nothing that doesn't already exist, I think. So looking for some positivity there. A lot of agent hustle stuff will be coming here also pretty soon. Some other new products that popped up today in the Bitcoin space. Babylon seemed to be a headline this morning from a few different people. I actually was fortunate enough at ETH Denver that I filled in for Isabel to be the MC for day one of their, I guess you just call it BTC Denver event. I actually got to hang out with some of the people on the Babylon team. I got to talk with the founder of Babylon. I believe his name's David, as well as some of the marketing people. Really cool team, really experienced, I would say. And maybe some of them are in crypto. Some are experienced in kind of other traditional finance and marketing and such. They raised, I believe, $77 million at the beginning for the staking product. At that conference itself, people fucking love staking Bitcoin, dude. It was like anytime they'd be like, you could stake your Bitcoin for 2%. Everyone's like, like going crazy, dude. It was insane.
Literally crazy, man.
Yeah, it was crazy. Dude, roars. Dude, people loved it. I was like, wow. I was dude, taken aback by how hyped people were for this product. It was actually really eye-opening, to say the least.
Totally.
They are actually now one of the largest, I guess you call it synthetic Bitcoin operators. I believe they had like 50,000 Bitcoin or so. Maybe the number's off by 10,000. I don't remember what it was specifically.
It was like that. It was like 50.
It's like, yeah, they were like number 3 or 4 in terms of synthetic Bitcoin, which is basically putting your Bitcoin into their protocol and you get the Babylon BTC on the other side. I don't know what the actual token's called, but today they announced Babylon Genesis. It's secured by Bitcoin to unite decentralized world. So Babylon Genesis is the world's first L1 blockchain secured by Bitcoin. Officially launches today. This launch cements, also not true, right? Because there's so many protocols that are merge mined with Bitcoin, but we'll go with it. This launch cements Babylon's staking protocol as the foundational infrastructure layer for Bitcoin and the most impactful staking solution for the Web3 ecosystem, transforming idle Bitcoin into the backbone of decentralized economy and fully unlocking its utility. 200,000 views on this post. I then saw that a protocol called Lombard Finance, which is a DeFi protocol. I think it's a Bitcoin LST protocol. So basically,
by the way, that's the worst LBTC. Terrible. Whoever came up with that, bro, terrible. Right now, just saying, from a marketing perspective, fucking terrible, dude. It immediately brings up visceral reactions in people.
LBTC,
fucking terrible, dude. If they just added a plus on the air at the end, it would be fucking fully.
Oh my god, that's funny.
You're getting it now.
It's LG.
Yeah, okay. Bro. It's a terrible ticker.
That's funny.
Terrible ticker. It's worse. It's terrible, bro.
Oh
terrible.
Man.
The worst.
So they said Babylon Genesis is live, comes with the baby token. So LBTC holders are eligible to claim baby airdrop through Lombard's staking pool. So I guess it has to do something with like baby is Babylon's network. Okay, so that's the ticker name. So baby is the Babylon network token. So apparently, if you're staking your LBTC, then you can claim the baby token. Over 400 million baby token have been airdropped today. Lombard received 88 million. I have no idea what the total supply is, though. So claiming process. So it looks like Babylon is networking with all of the BTCFi companies and distributing their token. We're kind of talking about this off the air, but there's so many of these, like I've been coming to find over the last 6 months. There's so many of these like isolated communities in crypto that like literally only use this like certain network of tokens and stuff. That's just like, you don't know it exists. And then once you enter it, you're like, where did these people come from? Like, who are you people? Because when you're so stuck on crypto Twitter, it's like the same people that are doing all the farming and moving across chains and same. But there's got to be a few dozen of these that just have this one kind of like devout community who just like loves this product and they just don't care about anything else there. Chris, what's your thoughts on, Babylon, Bitcoin staking, and just, I guess, Bitcoin finally being put to use for some yield?
Yeah, I think that the industry that we're in, people always assumed that no one would want to put their Bitcoin anywhere. They just want to hold it. But I think that day by day, that's proven wrong. They want the interest. I know Jake has a really good explanation of how Babylon works that DeFAI kind of went over all throughout the event. It's a pretty simple explanation of how the product works. I hope that Jake can give that to us here soon. But like I said, I mean, it got the people riled up. The people were riled up for the 2%, didn't care to give up custody, or somehow it was non-custodial. I didn't really understand how that worked, but it seemed pretty custodial to me to some extent. But Jake, do you have that impression of the explanation of how Babylon works? Do you still have that?
Dude, I remember it like it was yesterday. I was on stage. David was the first to present, so I introduced him on stage, and he comes out, and full crowd, full packed house. There's got to be like a few hundred people there, and he's like, we have a token. It's Bitcoin. It's a big, beautiful Bitcoin, right? Well, that's a Trump version, but he's like, we have the best asset, and what we're going to do is we take the token and you stake it. But the token is still yours. It's non-custodial. And in return, we secure all the networks and gain yield. And everyone's like, ah!
Let's go.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, holy crap, dude. Like literally, I was like, wow, simple as possible. Dude.
Yeah, he got asked like
Did he
50
just
times.
describe Ethereum? I think he just described Ethereum.
Yeah, he got asked like 50 times, how does this work? And that was kind of like the only answer that was ever given.
Bro, you
put the
take
Bitcoin in.
Chris, you're not understanding. You take your Bitcoin.
Yeah, that was it.
You stake it with yourself.
That was
and you
it.
Yield.
You put the tokens in, you're taking money out. All right, sounds good. So that's the technical explanation for Babylon. The crowd was eating it up. The crowd
What could go wrong, bro? What could go wrong? Nothing. Perfect. It's a perfect use of Bitcoin.
Good times. But so with Babylon, they seem to be kind of leading the charge here with BTCFi over all of the other L2s, it seems. I mean, Stacks is I kind of put Stacks as its own thing. It's like the OG. They're working on SBTC. I believe Babylon, though, has a lot more BTC locked up in their ecosystem. Bob was there. Bob is, I believe, working on BitVM. They're trying to do their own kind of solution here. So I think the next wave really of the Bitcoin ecosystem is getting Bitcoin locked up into their protocols to leverage in whatever way is kind of possible.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, we know these guys have actually been able to tap into the Bitcoin whales, right? And so good on them. How much of that? I doubt that 50K is going through KYC. There might be some, shady Silk Road guys in there as well, but they were able to capture a huge amount, right? So it's non-significant amount of BTC. And I know from speaking with a lot of big Bitcoiners that this has been a thing that they really, 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 really want. And so if they're doing it in a way that, the Bitcoiners are comfortable with, I don't fade it because, the Bitcoiners are not trusting of this stuff generally. And there were a lot of big Bitcoiners who were psyched about this. So, whatever, this guy was able to convince people with his big brain, Stanford 8 PhD brain that he's got it figured out. And it sounded really simplistic to us, but, he had, algorithms and stuff in the background, which, but to us, it just sounded very kind of, to Jake's point, just hilarious. But,
props to them, man.
Props to them. You convince people.
It does feel like the Bitcoin ecosystem is starting to catch this like new wave. Feels like the Bitcoin ecosystem winter is beginning to end and we're kind of emerging into spring. Arch, which has been hotly anticipated, they raised $9 million for their network. They've pushed the date back a few times to launch, but they officially now have a day that they are going live on June 29th. So about 2 months from now, 2.5 months from now. The Matt, who's the founder, he came in and made some comparisons to the iPhone App Store that made millionaires out of small teams. He said Instagram exited with $1 billion of 15 people. WhatsApp made $19 billion. Angry Birds, 200 million, and Floppy Birds. And so he goes on to compare that essentially Arch is the app store for native Bitcoin applications, and that there's a bunch of small teams who are building on it. They have grabbed a lot of developer activity, I do have to say, and some of them have actually left the ICP. So this will be an interesting battle to watch as the ecosystem continues to grow. That that Arch is tapping into native Bitcoin liquidity. Obviously, it's I guess you call it an execution layer, something similar to like what Track is doing, something similar to, I think there was a few other ones who are doing something like that. It's not an L2, right? It's kind of this like off-chain kind of TE network of some sorts. But if they can, perform on-chain, if they can build like an on-chain Uniswap where it doesn't require you to deposit anything and you just come in and plug in your Xverse wallet and you could trade, big boost to the Runes ecosystem and all these other applications. Funky Bits seems to be a hotly anticipated product, which is a Odin Fund competitor. It's a pump fund using Arch Network. And also Rune Shot is launching, which is built on Near by the Rune Mine guys. Saturn, I believe, is supposed to be the DEX that is on Arch Network that will compete. Overall, big win for, I think, the Runes ecosystem, as now there's a lot of competition for Runes, even though it's literally a $1 billion market cap. You have Magic Eden now, who's going in to use Slingshot to acquire Runes right through USDC or buy them through the App Store. You have Odin Fund, where they've done some sort of chain abstraction, and they said that Rune deposits are coming soon. I believe Cardano just built a bridge, and Dog has done some over there, and now you have Arch that is going to go live to try to compete here. It's a big win for the users, big win for the ecosystem, and also, I guess to pat our own back, exactly kind of what we had planned for Keys, which was that it was going to take 9 months. We expected Q3 would be when the Runes ecosystem would pick back up after builders figured out what the best use case is, and it does seem like that's headed in the direction for our TGE in September, that there will be probably a winner at some point here. Chris, you're a big Bitcoin guy. You like dabbling in Runes and stuff. What do you think about Arch finally going live? And then also, do you also feel it that maybe we're entering like a Bitcoin ecosystem spring, or is it still winter?
Bro, I don't know, man. I don't know if there's ever a spring in Bitcoin. I want to see the product. We need to get these products to market. I think they're highly anticipated. I've been early in all these ecosystems, early in the Ethereum ecosystem when there wasn't any kind of infrastructure, really early in the Solana ecosystem when there wasn't any infrastructure. I'm now kind of early in the on-chain Bitcoin ecosystem when there isn't any infrastructure. And Bitcoin is by far like the most mature in terms of like early stages, early traction out of all three of them. And so everyone in crypto always wants to be early, but no one wants to, go through the fucking pain of being early, to be honest. Like it's not just a straight road to Valhalla. It's a lot of development. It's a lot of just waiting. And so there's been a lot of waiting, obviously developing infrastructure in Bitcoin's the hardest out of any of the other ones. So I think it's taken longer than I anticipated personally, but I think that all the blocks are there. You really have, just in terms of incentives, there's already a community there that's willing to put their dollar, that part ways with their dollars for these assets. That's the hardest thing to kind of gather, is actual natural organic traction. I think Bitcoin naturally has a lot of that. And now you just kind of need some of these kind of UX improvements around the buying and selling. We had a little bit with Magic Eden, but there hasn't been that infrastructure upgrade ever since then. So hopefully Arch comes online. They provide a little bit of an edge. You have the Sling acquisition. Hopefully that provides a little bit of an edge. And I mean, if you 2 or 3x, there's probably, I don't know. What do you guys think? A few thousand people in the on-chain Bitcoin economy, like regularly. I mean, if you would 2 or 3, 4x that, you're going to see some of these tokens run to billions of dollars. So I still think that the Bitcoin ecosystem is like the most promising place to kind of pick some major outperformers going into the next year or the back half of this kind of larger cycle. So I welcome any infrastructure coming online, but get the fucking products to market, because it's been
Totally, man.
there's been a lot of talk. So we need.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you want Arch Network, but then somebody's got to build something interesting, right? And
Right.
that's the thing that's going to move the needle. And like you're saying, there's this pent up energy on Bitcoin, waiting for something cool and interesting. It just has to somebody's got to build something.
Facts.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see what happens. I do think in 2023 we got the NFT standard essentially that the community adopted, right? Obviously, Counterparty and a bunch of protocols had come before, but the community likes ordinals running with that as NFT standard. It seems like the next year we got the fungible token standard that everybody wants. I know a lot of people give Runes criticism, but obviously everyone's building on top of Runes, so that seems to be the winner. And nice. I think this year, is going to be the application layer, whoever is going to win. I believe, right, the Taproot Wizard guys, they probably expected OpCat to be live and that the application layer would have went to Cat VM. That's obviously slowed them down. It's probably why they did the Taproot Wizards raise. I'm seeing support now for OpCTV plus something else seems to be the winner, right? So OpCat could be years away at this point. Or never, right? And so it's basically a battle now between the ICP ecosystem. You have Arch, and then there's some projects that are being built on Near, and then obviously Magic Eden as well with some of their custodial solutions. So you kind of got like a 4 or 5 contenders here who are really going to be competing. Obviously, you have like Merlin and Stacks and some of these other ones, but in terms of attracting the traders and the degens, these seem to be the markets. So it'll be interesting. And before we do wrap up here, Wayfinder actually just started popping up on CoinMarketCap. It was just listed. Some people are calling 2 to 10 billion at TGE. Right now, the FDV is $128 million. So it's about 90% less than what the timeline expected.
Estimates were close. They were close.
Close.
It's total $100 billion, bro. I mean, look, the thing is, there isn't that many tokens, so it can only go down so much before they're
marketing
all the tokens, bro. So we might I wouldn't be necessarily like shorting it or anything. That's in good grip because there's just no free floating tokens. Like they didn't give out any tokens. It's like they give out 1% of the supply or something.
So it says here so the market cap's 30 million. That's literally less than Hayanon. It's around the same market cap as Griffin. So Hayanon still the leader, I believe, in terms of the DeFi AI space. The FDV 128, it says the self-reported circulating supply is 223 million out of a 1 billion max supply. So they have somewhere between 20 to 30% of the supply is live. Obviously, if the FDV is, so FDV is 127. Yeah, so about 23% is what they have self-reported as the total. But there's no confirmation so far. The token opened up at 25 cents. So it actually opened up at 250 million. So even the people that were saying it was 500 million were also wrong. And now it's down to 12 cents at the 225 million. Looks like there has been most volume in the markets, $25 million in volume on OKX, 20 million on Gate, and then Uniswap seems to be the most on-chain volume with 3 million on Uniswap. Looks like it's on Ethereum mainnet. Seems to be where they launched it. That's an interesting take there. So overall, man, let's see if I go to Cookie. I wonder if they have it updated on Cookie.
It'll be on. I think it's on Binance this afternoon. That was kind of the.
So that's when it like rockets then.
to the floor.
Yeah, we'll see about
that. Well, I mean, we'll see, man. Who knows? Who knows, right?
I hate the prompt ticker. What we could do better than the prompt ticker.
So looking at the top market caps on DeFi AI, they have Venice there. I guess you could say Venice is number 1 then at 54 million. Hanon is number 2 at 43 million. Olas is number 3 at 41 million. Cortex at 33, and then Griffin at 27. And then our lovely Agent Hustle is literally less than $1 million right now. It's kind of wild. That's what happens when you distribute the whole thing on Fun, unfortunately. But in terms of product wise, I think we literally compete with all of them. Like, I think I think we have strengths in some areas and weaknesses in some comparative to the others. I think the AI side of things, I think we have the best overall. Like in terms of Hustle, the actual agent,
Facts.
I think does better than anything that's out there, at least from what I've used. They have these other teams have a little bit more infrastructure or maybe a few more options of things you could do. But everyone's kind of building towards the same direction. So they got put in their place a little bit. Everyone thought there's going to go to gigantic billions. Turns out that the market cap is now puts them at number 5 in the DeFi AI space. So props to the TGE though. Not an easy thing to do. Now we'll see the use, but more eyes on the sector is the most important thing. Later today, Adam, we're doing a live stream later today, right?
Yep.
Who are we doing it with? We have our first guest on the Hustle stream.
Chris, who are we doing it with?
Connor on chain.
Connor on chain. Let's go. Yeah,
We'll put out a post a little bit later for it. But yeah, it'll be, I think it's at 5:30 PST, so 8:30
8:30 EST. Yeah.
Cool. And next week, we're going to do a live stream with the On-Chain Revolution guys are going to come on. I think Bunzi is going to join us at one point for one of these and a few other people as well. A lot of shows that people have gone on. I was just invited to go on the Block Runner show to talk about Agent Hustle. I was literally just on the show a few months ago. So they want us to come back. Just did a show with Tactical Investing pretty recently as
Looking
well
forward to
as...
that. Sounded like it was a banger.
Yep.
Yeah, it did. So...
And before we wrap, though, to wrap up the Bitcoin ecosystem and kind of where this AI trend is going, and the DeFi AI, and just crypto in general, like, we came from an era in crypto where all you could do is dream because there wasn't shit to do. Totally. And so to have that vision of where all this shit can go is like one of the most fun aspects of the industry. And I feel like we've just gotten so far away from that nobody can realize. No one has the imagination anymore. No one has that mindset that it's here today, but it has the opportunity or the potential to be all the way over here. And that kind of venture investor vision that I think that we all have, I think it just like, it was one of the most fun aspects of the industry. And if you're in this, you need to be a dreamer. You need to, hope for the best and kind of, be an optimist in the world and kind of be a part in building the future. And that's like, that's how you experience massive upside. So whether you look at all this shit is still early, like Ethereum is still going through its growing pains. Bitcoin's figuring out its on-chain economy. Solana's trying to be something more than just a global casino. But I mean, just don't forget the vision and like why we're all here and how you have an opportunity to be a part of just such like an optimistic future that's so different that if the crypto industry didn't exist, the world would be in like a much darker place, in my opinion. So we got away from dreaming and having imagination, and we want all the products here today, and we want everything working perfectly today. But once that happens, you don't have an edge. You don't have the upside potential that you would. So I think crypto is just missing some dreamers, and I'm happy to always be a dreamer. So that's my rant.
Yeah, I feel that as well, man. Going to be a good time. I appreciate everyone for joining us. Look for us later today if you want to trade some tokens with AI. Until then, enjoy your weekend. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you soon.
Peace.